Hey guys, welcome back to Best of the Rest. Today I wanted to do a little comparison just between the Hypertough and Klutch lines. I suggested on more than one occasion that guys that wanted the Hypertough stuff could use the Klutch line to supplement their tools and vice versa. There are some things that you can get in the Klutch line you can't get in the Hypertough line. Exhibit A being the grinder, the 4.5 or 5-inch grinder. As you can see here, the Hypertough grinder is a top switch, whereas the Klutch is an actual paddle switch. And myself personally, I really do prefer the paddle switch. Now, with that being said, there are differences between these things. They're not massive differences, but they're differences nonetheless. The electronics quality in the Klutch stuff is actually significantly better than the Hypertough stuff. The boards themselves are significantly thicker, they have larger heat sinks, and bigger capacitors. Now, in my personal opinion, I believe the Klutch tools will probably outlast the Hypertough tools in the form of longevity. And for $15 to $20 more, depending on what you're buying, that may very well be worth it to somebody. Now, as far as the grinders go, the Hypertough grinder is non-speed controllable, has no options other than the actual on and off. It does seem to be a relatively strong tool. I love the way it fits the hand. It's incredibly slim compared to most cordless grinders. And it runs well. It doesn't sound like a box of rocks in the head. It's not like it's off balance by any stretch of the imagination. Same thing for the Klutch. I actually haven't even used the Klutch one yet. Just picked it up today for this comparison. But the feel in hand is very nice. I did open all these up and just make sure that my assumptions were correct with the electronics. And as you can see, the Klutch grinder has significantly larger breathing holes, not only in top, but as well as where the air is sucked into the motor from at the bottom, as well as these are screened, whereas the Hypertough is not. So, obviously, same factory, obvious that they're coming from the same place. Somebody just vested a little bit more time into the Klutch design as opposed to the Hypertough. Now, when you step up to the impact wrenches, it's a on-again, off-again story, because while the Klutch has a bigger hammer and a bigger motor, the hammer is actually 2.7 ounces in the Klutch as opposed to 2.4 ounces in the Hypertough. The brushless motor is almost a half an inch thicker in form of front to back. And the spin up on the Hypertough, as you hear it wind up, Klutch doesn't do that. Klutch is wide open right off the bat. Same thing, much larger capacitors in the Klutch, larger wire gauging, and larger breather holes. So, that leads me to believe that the longevity of the Klutch is going to be better than the Hypertough, even though they are coming out of the same factory. And I wish TTC would get their hands on one of these Klutches, because they tested the Avid Power, which is an identical clone to the Klutch, actually down to electronics, hammer size, everything. It's literally a red version of the Klutch tool, just one sold on Amazon as opposed to Northern Tool. And it tested about 50 foot-pounds less in capability than the Hypertough with their in-kit batteries, with their 4 amp hour batteries. But they never did test the Avid Power with a high output battery like they did the Hypertough by swapping it with DeWalt's. Now, all that being said, the Klutch 8 amp hour 21700 cell battery will swap to the Hypertough. It will swap to the Avid Power. They are direct interchanges that it's ridiculous the way they're building these tools now. And I mean, I'm all for it. I want you to be able to buy as many from as many different lines as you can, because there's stuff also available from Avid Power that is not available from Klutch or Hypertough, as crazy as that sounds. So, oh, let me pop one of them off here. Let me pop the clutch across real quick, just so I can show you guys that the batteries are a direct swap. I mean, I show it on the Hypertough all the time, so it should be pretty self-explanatory, but this is a unmodified, nothing touched Hypertough battery, and it goes right on. Like I said, same thing with the Avid Power. And again, you can feel the inertia in this thing. It carries so much more to it in the terms of how much. I believe that the actual output rating would be significantly higher on the Klutch if they had tested it with a 21700 cell battery. I just don't think they saw the need. They kind of looked at it and went, Avid Power, it's an Amazon brand, why would I do that? Not realizing that a lot of our in-house brands are going that way now. I mean, this is Northern Tool. They're everywhere. Walmart, same thing. They're everywhere. And, I mean, I've made my opinion pretty well known on the Hypertough stuff, where I think it falls, who I think should buy it, who I think shouldn't, etc. The Klutch stuff, on the other hand, I don't really feel that way about it. I feel like the Klutch line is probably about in line with the Bauer stuff from Harbor Freight. It does include a 2-year warranty that the Bauer stuff doesn't. However, I feel like it's more in line with a entry-level professional tool than the Hypertough is. I see longevity issues with these, perhaps. And I'll state again, it's mainly based around the electronics. It's not the motor. It's not that I think the hammers are going to come apart or the anvils are going to break, etc. I don't see the electronics holding up as well. And that problem is solved with the Klutch tools. So, for what it's worth, I just wanted to do a quick comparison there and let you guys see that there are other options out there if you get into the Hypertough line to be able to get more tools than just what Hypertough offers. As well as if you're already in the Klutch line, same thing. I mean, the batteries swap on chargers. You can put the Hypertough battery on the Klutch charger or the Klutch battery on the Hypertough charger, vice versa. And Avid Power is in that line too. I just don't have an Avid Power here to show you. If I did, I would. But we will resolve that quickly too. I've got a Avid Power Hightorque on order. We're going to rip it apart and make sure that my statement about this being an exact duplicate are the same. With that being said, again, TTC tested the Avid Power Hightorque to give you an idea of what this thing is capable of. But their teardown video is what I used to compare this to make sure that this was just an Avid Power in gray clothing. But, as I said, better quality electronics. I really think with the 21700 cell battery, this thing is going to be more powerful than this one. But it's up to you whether or not you want to spend the extra money involved there. I mean, as of right now, making of this video, the Klutch is going for $179 as a kit, but that also includes a free tool. I just happen to pick the grinder as the free tool, so you're really getting about the same price as the Hypertough, give or take. It's a couple pennies more, but, is it worth it to you? Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Just wanted to share some of that. Hope to see you next time.